SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stone Go, Gary 5 Jaho Jeff Gados behind the mask today, so if I sound a little muffled, that's why. Okay, well, thank you for listening in to our program once more. We are going to share a couple things here. First, it's changing of the seasons, and with it comes flu season, and that thing on top of the virus that we're having to worry about. And we've got some folks from the Department of Health to come in and talk about resources, the viruses themselves, and some opportunities for you to deal with them in a positive manner. And it's weird that we have such a change in the definition of positive these days. Oh, he tested positive. Oh, no, good thing. And in our second portion of the show, we have some of the sounds and words from folks who attended the recent Indigenous Day observation here at the Council House, just across the street here from us, and kind of give you a chance to hear what folks have to say about it, including the Mayor of Okmulgee. But first of all, let me welcome to our program Dr. Barks, and you know something, I didn't write down that first name. Larry, okay. God, that's embarrassing to do that. And Andy Peters, who's actually been with us before, and you ought to feel like an old vet. First of all, we're looking at the change in weathers and things, and colder, and people having to deal with health issues, and particularly one that is perennial almost is flu. And that's even complicated by the COVID-19 virus hitting us at the same time. But let's go and start with the basics first of all. Dr. Bark, let's find out what flu is once more. How's it different from a common cold?
Well, flu is an illness, a respiratory illness that's caused by a particular type of virus called the influenza virus. That varies quite a bit from the common cold, which is a different family of viruses. Flu typically causes much more significant illness in people that catch it than the common cold. It's transmitted by what we call respiratory droplets. When you speak or cough or talk, there are tiny little droplets of moisture that come out of your mouth and nose and can be transmitted via the air to a person who is within, say, about 6 feet of you.
Okay, now this is the same thing that, like, when you sneeze, you see these little droplets come out and
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Spray all over your steering wheel.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And that's the same transmission device?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Andy, you have responsibilities in infection prevention, is it?
That's correct.
And also for employee health, too.
Right.
First of all, I guess, what happens when the season rolls around? I mean, does it make a marked difference in the attendance and performance of our staff, our employees around the nation?
It definitely can. So last year with the Department of Health, we went to a mandatory influenza vaccination program. So each employee that we have is responsible for getting the flu vaccine, and we provide those starting this year a little bit early because we wanted to get the employees vaccinated for the flu in case the COVID vaccine had come out. We were already prepared and had the flu vaccine. So each of our clinics, our hospitals has had days where the employees have received their flu vaccine, and we are continuing to get all of the employees vaccinated.
The flu itself, has been around for quite a long time, and I think every discussion of it reaches back into the beginning of the last century with the epidemics around the world that killed so many people. So this is something that people have to take seriously and think in terms of that could be an eventuality if you don't take care of yourself, right?
Yes, sir. It certainly could. As flu viruses over history can vary in their severity of illness. Unfortunately, back in 1918 with the flu epidemic, that was a particularly virulent or deadly form of the flu virus, which resulted in tragic losses of life all across the world. Traditionally, the flu virus is not nearly so severe. Generally, we're looking at a mortality rate of about 0.1%, which is about 1 per 1,000 individuals, which varies quite a bit from the virus that we're dealing with now, the coronavirus.
Right. Now that sounds like a low number, but it isn't for that one person in 1,000 who gets it.
That's exactly right. And when you multiply that number across the number of people that live in the United States, it's a significant number of individuals. And as you say, if it's your friend or loved one or family member, it's very meaningful to you.
You think, oh, well, she died of the flu, and people hadn't taken it seriously enough, I don't think. The common question that I think is always important to ask is, what's the difference between flu and the common cold? Are there distinctions there, or they just sort of look a whole lot alike?
As far as the common cold versus the flu comes on more quickly. It's usually associated with a fever. So it's some of the same symptoms, but as far as the flu, it can last a little longer. And the period of infectiousness is a little bit longer, up to 7 days with the flu. So it's a lot of similarities, but one of the major concerns is the complications that can occur from the influenza virus.
Now, we're talking about symptoms being far more severe, like if you get a cough or as you say, respiratory problems that you're just really hacking it up. Forgive the colloquialism there. But, if you're really feel like, well, I've had a cold before, but this is feeling a whole lot worse, is that kind of an indicator that maybe you've got a case of flu?
It could be, yes. And of course, we would recommend that you get tested. We can do tests to see if it is the flu. We can provide a treatment if we're in a few 72 hours within the flu. We can provide something that will lessen possibly the duration of the flu. So that's what we're looking at. We want to prevent any complications from the flu, so we want to keep you out of the hospital, keep your loved ones out of the hospital. We're at a period of time where that can be critical with our COVID also.
And of course, there's always pneumonia lurking around.
That is what most people that die from the flu, that's the cause of death. The flu virus will get in there and injure the lung, which makes it much more susceptible for a bacterial type of infection, a pneumonia, to set up. Traditionally, those are what we call staph pneumonias, which are extremely damaging to the lungs and are very serious.
Well, when I was a kid, I actually had pneumonia, and I remember how hard it was when you coughed. Your whole chest just ached. Just terrible pain is what it was.
Yes, sir.
And, the phlegm and everything else that you had to spit up. How are we doing here with the Mvskoke Nation? Are we more susceptible to these kinds of things than the general community?
As far as our population, yes, that is one of the higher risk. Anyone 65 and older, Native Americans are at higher risk. Anyone with a chronic condition such as asthma, diabetes, heart disease is also at a higher risk for the flu.
So I just fell into about 2 or 3 categories there. Now, there is no genetic difference there then that we've ever seen or studied or proven, perhaps?
Nothing that has been proven. There is research that is ongoing for that. We think that possibly, Native American people are very family oriented, and frequently
Right.
you have multi-generational family members living in the same household, and so well, in the example of flu, you have a school-aged child that goes to school, gets the flu. They may do okay as far as the flu, but it's when grandma or grandpa gets the flu that we really start to get concerned, because they're at much higher risk for severe complications.
Right, because their bodies are not quite able
Got a
to...
few more miles.
Yeah, okay. Now, the tribe has always, just to my knowledge, prepared for these problems, this health problem, and has a number of resources available to not only our own tribal members, but I presume the general community.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, including some mobile clinics that have been making circuits throughout us, right?
That's right. Our mobile clinic has been going. We started at the end of September. Our next date is Tuesday, October 20th at the River Spirit Casino. They will be providing flu shots there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The public can enter one of our clinics, and we do have a schedule of times that each of our clinics are set up to provide the flu shot. So we encourage everyone to go in and get a flu shot this year.
Now, to prevent any misconceptions about this vaccination and the COVID-19 virus we're experiencing worldwide, getting this vaccination is not going to stop you perhaps from getting a COVID-19 infection. I mean, what's the difference there? Are there similarities, fears that you might have?
COVID-19 generally presents as a more severe illness than the flu. There is no treatment or vaccine currently available for COVID-19. Our concern is that, unfortunately, you can catch more than one virus at a time. And heaven forbid, if you were to fall ill with COVID-19 and you hadn't had a flu vaccination and you caught the flu on top of it, that would greatly increase the chance of a severe complication. So we always recommend that people get a flu shot. But this year, I believe it's especially important because we certainly don't want to have combined infections going on at the same time. That would greatly increase the danger to the public, and it will stress our healthcare resources to the point where I would worry that people would be able to get the type of proper care that they need.
Now, normally when you go to get health care, I presume the most of us who are employed have some sort of health insurance that might cover some, or if not all, the cost. You provide the service to tribal members without any cost, I presume.
That's
Is that
correct.
And so people shouldn't be scared, saying, well, I can't pay for this, or, I don't have the money to deal with it.
Absolutely not.
What's your policy here?
If you're a member of a federally recognized tribe, you'll receive care at no charge out of our clinics. So.
And now, when we say clinics, we're talking about the usual health clinics scattered around the nation?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So just, you walk in, say, I want a flu shot, or what?
Yes, we have the clinics in Eufaula, Okmulgee, Sapulpa, Wetumpka, Okmulgee, and Coweta. So Each of those clinics are providing the influenza vaccinations, and if you're going to be in that area, you can just walk in or give them a call, and they will provide you with the flu shot.
Okay, and we're of course talking, including the community,
Right.
in these clinics. Now, are there different people or folks who may be perhaps more susceptible, or the kind of folks that you really prefer to see come in and get a vaccine?
The flu generally affects the very young and the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
As Andy has stated previously, if you have other medical conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, lung disease, if you're undergoing cancer treatment of illness that might affect your immune system, we would especially encourage those individuals to get a flu shot.
Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of wonder about confidentiality sometimes, whether people are a little nervous about that sort of thing, I presume. God, I love that word. I think that most people would be comfortable with the way you handle it.
In all of healthcare, your treatment between yourself and your clinic, your nurse, your provider, is covered not only ethically. Mm-hmm. We know we are not to share that information, but also legally. Mm-hmm. There are actual legal, there are statutes in place to protect the privacy. Yes, sir.
HIPAA?
Yes, sir.
Health, whatever.
Health Information Portability and Accountability Act.
Thank you. I could have never remembered that. The season coming up is got so many questions and things that it could frighten people. Particularly those who may be, COVID-19 person, or even the flu. So how do you settle those feelings? I guess calm people down, saying, "Well, here's what we can do." How do you approach that?
Well, what we're doing now for COVID is the same mitigation factors that we want to use for influenza, such as wearing a mask, doing hand hygiene, washing your hands, not touching your face, staying out of large crowds. One of the complications that we have in the wintertime is it's cold outside, so we all go in. And that's one of the factors that increases our susceptibility or our transmission. So anytime that you can go outside, get outside. Another mitigation factor would be cleaning the surfaces. Anytime that you're touching a surface, you can touch your face, and that's a way to transmit or get the flu virus.
When we're cleaning surfaces, are there any products that you might recommend that people use, or just plain soap and water going to do it?
Well, soap and water is good to clean it off, but then use some type of disinfectant that you can buy just over the counter at Walmart. Clinics, we use hospital grade disinfectants, but as far as going to your local grocery store or Walmart, you can buy those products that will kill the flu virus and COVID.
Nothing else, you can use 1 part bleach to 9 parts water to
Boy.
make lotion, which is very effective.
Okay, and you keep it around
Yeah.
and clean your clothes with it. The time and energy that your department's put into this, it's got to be tremendous. It's going to take a lot of money to provide the medicine, but then staff time and whatever else you might need in terms of facilities. Now, do you have the resources, meaning I guess the budget, and the people to be able to take on this particular issue?
As far as planning for the flu, we plan year-round. So our pharmacies order the vaccine pretty early in the year. We have received those. As far as the supplies, we keep a count on all of our supplies as far as personal protective equipment, needles, to make sure that we have everything. So yes, we're doing very well as far as supplies and having everything that we need.
Okay, I know you all have been challenged all year when dealing with this thing. People got to be tired and I would say underpaid. But let's not get into that one. The warning signs, are there things that people should be looking out for, I guess, in terms of flu, red flags that people should be paying attention to?
We continuously monitor our influx, our counts as far as the flu. I think that, it's just like COVID. You need to see what's in your communities, make sure that when you go out, you're wearing your mask, you're washing your hands. Anytime that you're in crowds, make sure you take care of yourself as far as the social distancing. And so yes, as far as just prevention, that is the main thing that we want to make sure everyone's doing. And the flu vaccination is the biggest thing that we can do to help prevent it.
Okay, the way to contact you, what's the best method there?
It depends on which area. So any of the clinics, you can contact them to get your flu shot or walk in to any of the clinics. Our ERs are staffed and do have the vaccine available. So at Okmulgee or Medical Center here in Okmulgee.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bark and Andy Peters, for coming in and sharing this information.
Pleasure.
We regard this as a very important public service in getting this information out. And if there are any changes or anything else that you all want to put out there, give me a call and we'll see if we can find you a spot here.
Sure will.
We certainly will, and thank you very much for having us.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a short pause here and then be back with the second segment of our program here on Mvskoke Radio on the Brew. So please stay with us.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be Native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Hear that? That's the sound of hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Okay, if you were anywhere near downtown Okmulgee on Monday, you would have seen the observance of National Indigenous Day, celebration of Native people and culture, and the fact that we're still around here. Now, in many places, including spots here in Oklahoma, this observance has been replacing Columbus Day for people who didn't particularly like the history of that man's involvement on the continent, in the oceans, and with our peoples. But they were here to enjoy their camaraderie, their history, language, religion, and even some good food, too. So we're going to get here and share some sounds of Indigenous Day 2020.
be with our actions, and be with our thoughts, Lord. Lord, I ask that you be with those out there that have been affected by this virus, Lord. Lord, if they're hurting in any way, Lord, I just ask that you just send a special blessing, Lord. Comfort them the only way that you can comfort them, Lord. And Lord, again, I just thank you, Lord, for what this day means to us, Lord. Lord, again, so I just ask that you be with us, Lord. Look after us and help guide and direct us, Lord. But Lord, again, I just thank you for all that you have given us, Lord, and all that you have brought us through, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. And I'll say a few things. But I just want to say my ode to Brenda for just putting this on, being very socially conscious about what's going on and what today means. You know, I want to thank Brenda for helping take this day back. You know, historically the second Mondays in October is Columbus Day, but we know all the false truths that the Columbus Day, what it means. And so I just appreciate what Brenda has done as promote that this is Indigenous Day, and this is our day to celebrate, and we're going to take the second Monday back in October back. This isn't about, we weren't discovered, we were always here. We weren't found, we always knew who we were. And so this is what today is about, just celebrating who we are, who God made us. And so I just want to again just say thank you, Brenda, for what you've done. And
good morning to each and every one of you this morning time. I want to thank Mr. Dale Beaver for his words of encouragement and acknowledgement of our peoples. And I want to acknowledge my newly found relative here, Brenda Golden. God bless you today, and thank you for inviting us over and making a relationship with me and my wife. You know, and we come up here to support, come up here to acknowledge who we are as Indigenous people here to this land. And like my relative was saying, we were always here. We always had a story to share of this land. And coming through these past couple weeks here today was thinking about some ancestors traveling up this way. You know, I said a little prayer in my car and talked to my relatives and talked to my folks and my grandfathers. And I said I was going to come over here and render a song of my people. And it talks about this flag that this nation, what it represents. But it even goes farther back than that, because our forefathers, me as a Kiowa, we had warriors way before this 1775, I believe, or somewhere in there. But we found these things, and we share these things with folks and people. And these are just teachings handed down. These songs are not written in any form or fashion. They're passed down through oral traditions from uncles, grandfathers, brothers, nephews. So I come here to share this music with you, representation of my people. My name is Gordon Lee Imhula. Imhola is the correct pronunciation of that. Its translation is coming to kill his enemy. So these warrior-like deeds that my family have come through, you know, thinking about them today. So I thank the Creek Nation people, Mvskoke people, for allowing us to be upon your land here today. And I bring good tidings and well wishes to each and every one, from the youngest to the oldest here. So bear with me here. I'm going to render our Kiowa flag song. Please stand and remove your hats, if you could, please. Thank you. Aho, thank you.
And next we'll have Principal Chief David Hill come up and say a few words and read his proclamation. And just remember, in a few minutes we're also going to be serving lunch, but first we'll have Principal Chief David Hill and Mayor Richard Larrabee before we start serving. Thank you. We're very honored to have our chief here today.
First of all, Mado, Brenda, for doing all this. Thank you very much. It's a privilege and honor to be here today. As you well know, we kind of celebrate this holiday differently. We're all Indigenous people, and a very important day for all of us. All the struggles and trials we went through, coming back on the Trail of Tears. So this means a lot to all of us. As you get older, glasses come into play. The Mvskoke Creek Nation supports the city of Okmulgee in declaring October 12, 2020 as Indigenous Peoples Day. This day celebrates Native Americans and commemorates their shared history, cultural, and sovereignty rights. We appreciate the thoughtfulness and show our gratitude towards the relationship we have with the Okmulgee community. Mvskoke culture has flourished within the Mvskoke Creek Nations, towns, and communities, even though our culture was disrupted and destroyed several times. We have endured and prospered. I urge our citizens, constituents, partners, agents, and members of our tribal communities to unite in observance of Indigenous rights and in honor of Indigenous cultural and philosophy to empower the Mvskoke Creek Nation, with the fundamental support of ongoing programs for our Indigenous people, health, and well-being. We look forward to working with the city of Okmulgee for the future of our people. October 6, 2020, or October 12, I'm sorry. And this will be sent to Mr. Mayor Richard Larrabee. Mado.
Always takes a minute to figure out how to hold those proclamations for a picture. I'm very thankful to be here today, and I want to say a couple words before I present this proclamation on behalf of the city. I think we are so blessed in Okmulgee to be a city that is the home to a capital of an entire nation, to Creek Nation. And I think I am blessed personally to be able to serve alongside your Chief David Hill and Second Chief Dale Beaver, and thankful for their leadership in our community. I have not seen Tara Beaver here today. Is Tara here somewhere? Wave at me, Tara, if you see me. I want y'all to know Tara was instrumental in getting the sign out on Highway 75. And once it was up, we kind of teased a little bit because we said, okay, next year we need a sign that covers that entire overpass so that no one can drive through Okmulgee without knowing that today is Indigenous Peoples Day. But I'd like to read this on behalf of our city. Whereas the city of Okmulgee recognizes that Indigenous peoples of the land that would later become known as the Americas have occupied these lands since time immemorial. And whereas Indigenous peoples have made many contributions to our community by their knowledge, labor, technology, science, philosophy, arts, and deep cultural and spiritual contributions that have substantially shaped the character of many of the citizens of Okmulgee. And whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas policies and practices that reflect the experiences of Indigenous peoples ensure access and opportunity and honor our nation's Indigenous roots, history, and contributions are promoted in the city of Okmulgee. And whereas Resolution Number 2018-9-02 established Indigenous Peoples Day in the city of Okmulgee and is to be celebrated on the second Monday in October each year. Now therefore I, Richard Larrabee, Mayor of the City of Okmulgee, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the 12th of October, 2020 as Indigenous Peoples Day in the City of Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and urge all officials and the general public to join in this celebration. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Okmulgee to be affixed on this 12th day of October, 2020.
Now we'll have an official welcome from our National Council representative of the Okmulgee District. And we're going to start serving food over here to the right. Free food for as long as it lasts. We've got corn soup, black-eyed peas, goulash, fry bread, cornbread. I can't think what else, but come help yourself. We'll be serving until it's gone. Come on up, Will.
Thank you, Brenda. Chief, Second Chief. My name is Councilman William Lowe from the Okmulgee District. Right now, I'd like to take a couple of seconds to introduce some fellow council representatives. Representative Joe Hicks. Raise your hand, sir. Representative Charles Son McHenry. Is there any other council representatives out here? Again, Mayor, thank you for your kind words, the proclamation, Chief. Outstanding words. I just want to welcome you all to today's event. Number one, first and foremost, want to welcome you to the Mvskoke Nation Reservation. This time of year, this is a great day to celebrate our indigenous culture. But on the other hand, it's our time to come together as tribal citizens and unite more than ever. So I just want to say, enjoy yourselves, shop with the vendors, spend a lot of money with them, appreciate the food. Again, welcome. Mado.
Okay, Chief, let's start with you. Why is it so important that this celebration take place?
Well, originally it's Columbus Day, 1492, but, to us it's Native American Day, Indigenous Peoples Day that we celebrate differently, and it's just our history and culture, who we are. Coming on Trail Tears, all the struggles that we had coming through and starting out with nothing, walking on Trail of Tears, lost a lot of dead, over 3,000. You come here to rebuild of what we have today, and you got to remember all the previous administrations before me in the early 1900s on what we're going through, and went through the Oklahoma Land Run, and all through history since then. We've overcome that. As strong people, that's who we are, and it's just time to celebrate, really who we are today. And I appreciate the mayor for doing this, and definitely since I've been in office, and as well as Mayor Larrabee, our relationship I think's been good, and if anything, we're going to make it stronger.
Okay, Mayor Larrabee, what are your thoughts on this observance?
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate what Chief Hill said. Just the relationship has been incredible. But stepping back a little and talking, when I was younger and I grew up in Gosh, Maryland, I think was when I was in first grade and we all learned Columbus Day. The impact of later as I would grow and move to Oklahoma and become, that I call this home now. I've been here since I was 17. What the actual meaning of this day should be and how it should be celebrated. I think it's very appropriate that Okmulgee bring prominence to this day for what we should regard it as, and that's as we need to celebrate that Indigenous peoples were not only here first, but just what they've contributed to our culture, what they've contributed to our society, what they continue to contribute on a daily basis. And we're thankful for that, and I think it's important that our whole community recognize the importance of that.
It would be nice to say the whole community was behind it, but we all kind of know that there are some people out there who aren't. Yeah. And they feel like this is something that shouldn't be happening, replacing Columbus with Indigenous Day. So what might you say to those folks?
Well, I would say to those, look particularly at our roots here in Okmulgee. Look at who even established this city first, who had a presence in this city first. What are we standing beside? You know, a symbol of something that stood longer, this council house here, than our city has formally been established. So I would think anybody who looks at the history of Okmulgee, looks at the history of Creek Nation, would have to recognize that this is the appropriate way to celebrate, you know, what used to be known as Columbus Day, but what we're going to call Indigenous Peoples Day.
Chief?
Couldn't have said it much better. You know, at least we could show the working relationship as two government. Tribal government with the city of Okmulgee, with his government, and just being an example how we can work with, you know, the state of Oklahoma as well as the government. So, if anything, I think it would just strengthen our relationship better, much better.
Okay, final question, gentlemen. Ever since the McGirt decision, there have been some separation, some people wondering what's going to happen. First of all, Mayor, has there been any problems or challenges come up in working together or recognizing law and order, things like that? What are your thoughts?
Sure, there have been challenges, and Chief and I first met when I was serving as Vice Mayor back in March. So prior to the McGirt ruling, we were kind of talking about a cross-step, a cross-commission. It is my hope that we can reach that. We're having ongoing meetings. We've had meetings with our State Attorney General on this, and so there are challenges, and there's a history there that both myself and Chief have looked each other in the eye and have said, you know what, we can work past this. We can work through this. But I'm going to say, and I don't know if this hopefully be reflected in the Chief's thoughts, but I can say from our end, from the city of Okmulgee, that I know, you know, I'm looking to work past those issues and to find a solution, not find, you know, I guess problems and challenges we could all point out of what would stand in the way of those obstacles. But let's talk about the solutions to get past those obstacles so that we can better serve the citizens of the entire city, which happen to be Creek and happen to be everyone's Okmulgeean as well.
Same thing. We can't help what happened probably 8-10 years ago, whatever the issue may be, but we are willing to work it out. And just, I think majority of it just educating everyone and the law enforcement what we can and cannot do as far as tribal side as well as the law enforcement within our district. And I think that's just mainly what it is, just educating everyone what we can really do. And it's just basically just going to benefit the state of Oklahoma as well. Just having a reservation status, just basically the law enforcement just having two hats. You know, just flip it over and now you're a light horse. So just educating everyone. I mean, we can work through this. I believe as of right now, out of 83 law enforcement, we have 65, 66 maybe, cross-deputized. So we're getting there. You know, originally we started out at 30 plus, but it's growing. So definitely just have that working relationship, what it takes.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Can I talk to you for a second?
Yes, sir. I need to have a mask
on? Not unless you want to. I'm Gary Fife with Mvskoke Radio. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Gordon Mhula. I am from Anadarko, Oklahoma, represent the Kiowa Apache Nation.
Now, that's a long way from home. Why is it important for you to be here today taking part in, taking part in what is primarily a Mvskoke observance here today?
Well, our tribes have always been in this land together for quite some time. Like they said earlier, immemorable. So we've shared this land for quite some time, and I feel that it's important that all tribes come together in unison and support one another, regardless of what things we've encountered through the foundations of this nation. But today we stand with them, bring our prayers and our songs together to support them. Yeah.
Your flag song was quite moving.
Thank you. Yes, that was composed by my people. We share it. We have social gatherings and we utilize it. But we've had several tribal people that have served this country, and I believe that their story should be told also. You know, they used our languages to save this nation. You know, and our people need to be recognized for those kind of things from prominent people that established this nation. You know, so that's why we come to support them here today.
Oh, Hi, can I speak with you, ma'am? Hi, I'm Gary Five with Mvskoke Radio. Why is it important for this observance to be happening here today?
Because of our history and our tradition.
Hang on a second. Let me get your name and where you're from.
Elizabeth Townsend. I'm from here in Okmulgee, but by way of Hannah, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Where the watermelons come from, huh?
Yes.
Okay, and once again, why is it so important for this day to happen?
Because of the history that we have, we as Mvskoke people have, and the great traditions that we have, and that's been handed down to us from our ancestors. My great grandmother was 9 months old when the great removal started, and she was sitting. Her parents had been killed, and she was sitting out in front playing when somebody picked her up, and as they were being removed, and they brought her here, and that's how come we are here.
Is it important to replace Columbus with Indigenous?
Yes, because really and truly, Columbus did not discover us. You know, we were here. I've been told by my ancestors that we've been here all along. That people say we come from Russia or Siberia or whatever, but I don't believe that because I know what my ancestors have told me. I mean, older people that were my ancestors. I have my family tree goes back about 8 or 9 generations, and they're all full-blood Mvskoke Creeks. So in remembrance of them and others that were on the Trail of Tears, I think it's important that we remember them and to keep our history and our traditions alive and to teach our children the same, that they not forget who they are and who we are.
Hello. Can I ask you some of the same questions? Sure. What's your name and where are you from?
I'm Ann Townsend Edwards, and I'm from right here in Okmulgee by way of Hannah, just like my mother. And I work for the Historic and Cultural Preservation Department with the Mvskoke Nation.
Why is it so important for this observance to take place?
Well, I think it's important for people to know, that we've always been here, that we are First Nations people, and this land is our land. And we celebrate it today with brothers and sisters from other tribes across the nation who have been known as First Nations people as well. We were here first. Columbus did not discover America. We've always been here. We've always known that.
Okay, Mado.
Yeah.
Oh
Here in the capital of the Mvskoke Nation, right here in Okmulgee.
Oh, for me, it's a great feeling, to see the city behind us. We have a big presence here, so it feels good for them to meet us halfway and say, you're here, and we're glad you're here, we're proud of you.
If when you wander around, you're going to hear people who aren't happy about this kind of thing, saying we shouldn't replace Columbus, or why should those Indians get a special day, that sort of thing. What would you tell them if you have the chance?
Well, I guess I couldn't say it here, but for the most part, we were always here. We were here before Columbus. We were here before Christianity. We were here before a lot of things that you're celebrating, all year long. It's only right. We deserve more than a day, if you ask me. We deserve more than a month. We're a strong, resilient people that have lived through everything imaginable, and to be honored with a day is we'll take it, but it's should be more. Should be more.
Any final thoughts about it?
No, I'm like I said, I'm happy. It's not what you want, but you're happy with what you get, and you be grateful.
Widow.
Okay.
Principal Chief David Hill.
Yeah, what time?
I'm Brenda Golden, and I'm one of the co-organizers of the event.
Well, it's quite a chore here, and it's a nice turnout.
Very good
beautiful
turnout.
Day. First of all, why is it so important for this to happen?
Well, look at all the young people here today, and that's why it's important, because we need to show that we're proud of our ancestry, we're proud of our heritage, and we're proud of who we are.
And why is it so important that it occur here in Okmulgee, the capital of the Mvskoke Nation?
Because we have a very large population of Native Americans here in the Okmulgee area, and it's not just Mvskoke Creek. I mean, we have all different tribes here, and this is for a unity of all of our Native American population, not just the Mvskoke Creek. But it's very important because this is our nation's capital.
Is it a symbol, do you think, for this to occur? Is it something important that the non-Native community know about?
I believe it's very educational for the non-Native community because the federal holiday, Columbus Day, is celebrated and offices and banks are closed all across Oklahoma. And this is one way that we can debunk that myth of Columbus discovering the United States or discovering America. We were already here when he got here, and so it's just important that we acknowledge the fact that we are the indigenous people of this land.
There are going to be some in this community and around the country who are not happy with Columbus being replaced by an indigenous observation. And it takes various forms, of course. But what would you say to those folks?
Well, I think if you look at the history of Columbus and how atrocious he treated Native people, and not just Native people, but the Taino, the Espanolas. He was really a horrible person. And all across the United States, statues of Columbus have been coming down in recent months and toppled over and pushed into rivers and lakes. And it's not that we're trying to topple anything other than educate others that, he was not a good person and what he did should not be honored.
So in a sense, you are toppling that stereotypical image.
Yes, we are. He's not a hero. He did not sail the ocean blue and find the uninhabited lands. He didn't discover anything. And, like I said, he was a really horrible person to a lot of Native indigenous people back in that time.
Okay. Now, you've seen an interesting crowd here today, elders and some young people, and sentiments vary a bit to more of, we're glad to see it happen, to much stronger feelings. What do you think about drawing such a cross-section of Mvskoke Nation here?
Well, I think that, what we have here is really a wonderful turnout. Like I said, we've got old, we've got new, we've got babies, we've got, non-natives here, and I think it shows a testament to the community coming together like this.
You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mvskoke.
In the club down in Old Soho, where you drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola. C-O-L-A cola. She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said